Welcome to Showdown. I'm Mark Kaysen, and this is Thursday, and it's the 14th of March. So we are moving along very quickly as we reach to tomorrow, which will actually be the end of the first month of Showdown. And we've got so many things going on today, and probably some surprises even to me, maybe. We'll see if any of these develop. But in the meantime, let me say that I'm not going to start with Donald because there's so much to talk about with him that I'm sort of going to put that on the side for a moment. And I want to talk about Kamala Harris. And interestingly enough, I think that the whole women's health care issue has become either number one or number two on voters' minds at this point, which is pretty amazing because it's only gotten there because of what the Republican Party has done. They have brought this about. They have put this issue on the table, something that a true gift to the Democratic Party, a gift, but not as much of a gift as the one that I've got for you right now, and that is, of course, Stephanie Harmon. Hi, Steph.
Hey, Mark.
How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent. Excellent. So the first thing we're going to talk about is women's health care. And
oh, my favorite.
There you go. That's what I thought it would be. And I have to tell you that, as I just got through saying, it's really jumped to number one and number two, give or take, among all of the electorate. People are concerned about this, which has all been brought about because of the Republican Party, the conservatives, certainly Donald. I said I was going to put Donald back a little bit today because there's so many things I've got that are happening with him that I thought I'd just put it aside. But I can tell you that this is not what the Republican Party wanted. They're out there pushing for bans against abortion all over the country. And as a result, they have pushed this issue to the top of everybody's mind, and especially women. And women are very important voters at this point. But beyond that, this is an issue that affects families everywhere. And it really boils down to this. It's not about abortion. It's about health care. It's about what happens when women are in trouble and they can't get health care because somebody, some doctor, some nurse, somebody in a healthcare office is afraid that they might go to jail because somebody will mistakenly believe that they're offering an abortion to a person. So, you know, the issue today was that Kamala Harris had this meeting in I believe it was Minnesota. But anyway, it was a meeting with Planned Parenthood. And what happened is they were discussing the fact that doctors fear that they are going to get in trouble if they do all different kinds of things that have to do with healthcare, but don't have anything to do with abortion, but they are afraid somebody will think it is and throw them in jail. So maybe you want to comment on this. Go ahead.
Well, when you say they probably think they are, I'm assuming that in the retrospect that someone is possibly pregnant and they were trying to give them an option.
No, they're pregnant, and the pregnancy maybe gets in trouble, and
right.
they need some kind of help in order to survive. Forget, no one wants to get rid of the baby. They want the baby, but they've got problems, and the doctor needs to intervene. And there's a fear that somebody's going to say, wait a second, you're doing an abortion.
Well, let's visit that on a couple of things. First of all, as a woman, it's my body. It's not the government's body. It's my body.
Yeah.
Um, Secondly, given I don't understand how they can come in and make a decision on what kind of life a child is going to have when a parent, mother and father, single parent doesn't matter, is told that your child is going to be so mentally, physically disabled that they're not going to be considered a part of the society. And you're telling me that it's better to bring this child into this world, and then I'm on all of the state benefits because insurance doesn't pay for all of that. Then you have to have you're taking care of this child full time. So I'm not understanding how you could say women can have abortions, but it's okay to have this child and put the child through all the pain and suffering, and then go back to the government and say, well, since you had me have them, you pay for them. Because
Yeah.
to me, it's just a revolving circle of never ending. I would not personally, as much as I love all of my kids, if I was told that my child was going to be so mentally and physically disabled, and I knew this like in my, let's see, early first trimester, going into maybe my second trimester, and I didn't have an amnio to prove this, I'm going to want to terminate the pregnancy. I'm not going to want a child to come out and suffer.
Yeah. So,
Or knowing that me as a parent, I'm not going to be able to emotionally deal with that.
yeah. And I think that's an argument that has been made by many people many times. And I think certainly it's a valid consideration for everybody.
Hmm.
Some families are going to think that they could go through with that pregnancy. Others may feel they couldn't.
Right.
Everybody's going to have a different point of view on this. But here's something where there will be no difference in anybody's point of view. The woman is having a miscarriage.
Okay.
The woman needs medical intervention.
Correct.
The woman needs help. I
Hmm.
mean, the baby situation is over. The miscarriage is occurring. The pregnancy is over, and now someone has to take care of this woman. But
Exactly.
the problem is that there are doctors, justifiably, who believe that they might be going to prison by providing the health care that you need to save your life now that your pregnancy has ended. It's over.
Exactly. Because
Now,
at that
so,
given point in time, they would need a DNC, which is a form of of an abortion. But they're not. If the baby has already been aborted and came out, at this point, they're going in to make sure they get all the excess out. Because if they have anything in there, then the woman can become septic and possibly die. So
well,
I get it. So,
yeah,
but if they already have proof that the fetus is out, and this is a after uh, procedure, then I don't see why anyone or a physician would really worry about the fact that they are performing an abortion.
well, the answer is simple. The country has gone so berserk that there is fear. There's just fear. It may be unwarranted fear, but it's fear. It's
Hmm.
fear that somebody is going to jump up and say that you did something that you shouldn't have done, that was illegal, and that you might, number one, go to jail. Number two, You might lose your medical license. They might close down your office. All kinds of things could happen. And none of it makes the slightest bit of sense, but it doesn't matter because this has been opened up by the decision on Roe versus Wade to overturn it. And the point is, women, being very smart, are plenty angry about this.
Hmm.
And
they have the right to be. But you
sure,
know what? The government and healthcare has had control over the woman's body for decades. This is nothing new. If and as a woman, to give you another example, if I wanted to say, for instance, I never had any kids, and I know I don't want any kids, and I don't want to be on birth control. So I go to my doctor and I said, look, can you tie my tubes? And I never had a child. You know, the doctor's going to tell me no. They will not do it. Will not one doctor do it because I don't have any medical issues and they don't want to take the chance of me coming back later and possibly wanting a child. That's not your decision to make. That's mine. That's my decision to make, not
right,
yours.
right.
And there's also the fact that if a woman has one child, and she wants that same thing done, they're going to tell her no on that one too because you haven't had more than two children. You might want another child. What I might want to do and what I want to do today, that's not your choice. If I later down the road say, dang, I shouldn't have did that and I want another child, that's fine. I have three. I would have loved to have another child after that. But I was in my mid 30s when I had the last one. So, you have to make a good decision for that's better for you. But the government has had control over that for a very long time. Very long time.
Well, and what's happening, and really Kamala Harris, gets a lot of credit for this. Of course, so does Joe Biden. Obviously, they got together and they decided that they're going to push this whole women's health issue because first, it's polling high, very high. Secondly, it's winning in both elections and in different initiatives and referendums that are being had all over the country. So it doesn't take much for the political people to figure out that this is winning. So we need to use it. And given what's going on out here right now, I think they do need to use everything that they can because there are some very bizarre things happening. And one of them, for example, I saw the favorable, non-favorable numbers on Kamala Harris this morning. It is ridiculous. She's got 37% favorable and 52% unfavorable. Now, I understand that vice presidents are always looked at in a negative way. But honestly, what has this woman done to create any problems with anybody? And somebody might say, well, she isn't out there enough in front of the public. But the truth is, that's not her job. Her job is to be a support for the president. And I know that I hear the sirens, and I have to tell you, all day long, this has been an issue. Here we are in St. Louis at 4:14 in the afternoon. And the fact is that they've been predicting since this morning when there were some tornadoes out there that there would be new ones. And I know that that's what's going on. When I walked into this studio, I could see looking into the sky that things were not looking good. And there are definitely some potential problems. If you feel that you need to get out from in front of this camera for a little bit in order to save yourself, let's not wipe you out. So you decide if at any time you have to.
Well, they're saying that it's a tornado in my area. Take shelter now in the basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building
Yeah.
I think I
So,
better.
okay. So if you want to do that, go ahead, and then come back in 5-10 minutes, and we'll see you then. Unbelievable. Yeah, but I know it's a dangerous thing, and I definitely wouldn't want anybody to get wiped out and blown away on Showdown. I mean, it might get a lot of recognition. Actually, come on back, Steph. People will be watching us for the next 6 months to see you being killed in a tornado. What the heck? Even Joe agrees on that. Come on back, Steph. We're ready. No, anyway, it's good decision. There's no sense in getting hurt. I have to say, well, here, come on in for a second, Joe. I want to ask you. Can you? Yeah.
What's up?
So if you hear the sirens out there and you think it's dangerous, are you going to shut this down and walk away, or
that's up to you? I mean,
well, no, I mean,
you
I'm
can stay in the
trying to find.
studio, I'll go to safety.
I'm trying to find out how courageous you are. Is what I'm asking. I'm not worried about the show. How courageous are you?
Hey, man, I can't beat a tornado.
So
I might be a big guy, but I can't.
You'd look for some safety.
Absolutely. There's a lot of glass behind me.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, I probably wouldn't. So you could just leave the microphone on and go hide.
Oh, I'm good.
And then come on back. No, I don't mean now. I just mean if it sounds like, things are happening.
I'll give you a heads up.
Yeah, I mean, if things start flying in through the windows,
right,
chairs being sucked out of here.
Right.
No, I'm going to stay to the last. And you can just say, look, that's Kaysen.
If it wasn't the middle of a flat, like valley out in the middle of an airport, I would definitely not be scared.
But were you here during the flood?
I'm not in this area. However, I was in St. Charles. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because during the flood, I was up above it in Chesterfield, and I was looking down on the valley. And I have to admit, even now, sometimes when I look around out there, I think to myself that it's amazing how all of this was underwater.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy.
Well, I'm glad you're back. Okay, that's good.
And I'm not on the toilet. I'm not.
No,
I'm on a chair.
I understand. Yeah,
but I feel safer in the bathroom.
No, that's fine. And we were just talking about the possibility that if a tornado hit here in Chesterfield, what would Joe, our producer, what would he do? And he said he'd probably look for some safety. And I said that honestly, even if the chairs are being sucked out of the other office, even if things are flying, just leave the microphone on and I'll just describe what's happening as best I can until I can't. And, whatever happens. But I want everybody else safe. But, I sort of see myself as being invulnerable.
Really? I can see you flying around like, what was the name of that?
Well, that's true.
In the middle of the tornado, riding a bike.
I'm a little guy. That's right. Well, no, it's all about the Wizard of Oz. That's for sure.
There you go. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah. No, I know. No, it's all about the Wizard of Oz. I'll be worried about my tiny little 6-pound dog sitting back at home. That I'd worry about. But,
Yeah, I had to bring mine in here.
Yeah. And then, I have to add to that, there's families, brothers and kids and grandchildren and, everybody. So, you gotta wonder. But at any rate, here we are, and they promised us this morning that this was coming back in the afternoon. So here we are.
Exactly.
Or it may be that some greater power didn't like me discussing women's health care. That's possible too in the age of conspiracy theories. But I do have to say that I don't understand how Kamala has ended up being as unpopular as she is. And I mean, everybody has something bad to say about her. And I am certain that if, really something bad happened, she would step up in a very positive way. And I think she could be a very excellent president. But all this negative business about her, as if she's done something wrong. Now, you saw
I look at this a couple of different ways.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think Kamala did anything wrong. And I personally feel like the United States wasn't really ready for an African American president, but we got one, which was a big, But an African American female president, I don't think they're ready for that one.
Well, but let me ask you this. Is Kamala black?
Yeah.
Well, you know that there are people all over out here who say, oh, that lady isn't black.
Oh, she's 100% black.
Well, no, they say she's Asian because her family comes from India. I understand she's black, but they say, no, she's from India. Even my students say it.
Mm-mm.
But have you heard that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, keep your ears open. I'm telling you, get the wax out. The people are saying bad things. They really are. It's just ridiculous.
That she's Asian?
Yeah, that's right.
There is nothing about that woman that looks Asian.
No, but she comes from India. Her family came from India.
Okay, even if her family came from India, she's a minority, and she still doesn't look like an Asian. Are these people blind? I mean,
right. Listen, Stephanie, I understand what you're saying. And anyway, does it matter?
Well, guess what? I'm white and Jewish.
Exactly. Yeah. No, right. Everybody can say anything. And honestly, she comes from India. The family comes from India. She was born here. And her ethnicity, I mean, she's black, but not, I mean, then look, you've been around this more than I have. You know the story. Oh, light-skinned. What are we talking about?
Light, bright, damn near white.
Right.
Oh my God. You're light-skinned, so you're almost, you're white, you're half white.
Right.
You're a human being. You're just a human.
Right.
Yes, you're human. You're either human or an alien. Which one are you?
Well, this is why I wanted to talk about Kamala first, because it really is an issue. And it's something that unfortunately there are people out here who are talking about. Even, like I say, students who are not even voting age are out here trying to decide, is this woman white or black or Asian or
what does that matter?
I don't know.
What does that matter?
I have no idea, because I think she's outstanding, whatever she is.
I guess we're going back to the same thing that and I guess we're going back to the same thing that we dealt with President Obama. Is he really an American, or is he from really? Really?
Listen, they did it for 8 years. And after the first 4 years, everybody was sure that he could not get reelected. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, at the moment, they're saying that Donald's going to win. And when they say Donald's going to win, and I have brothers who are saying Donald's going to win, and they're against Donald, but they say he's going to win. And I saw the latest poll today. This one includes RFK Jr. And this one shows 37 to 36 in favor of Trump, with the rest of the votes being dispersed among various independents and Jill Stein's party and that sort of thing, and RFK. So look, it's still going to be right down the middle, they say, but the other side is if it's 37 to 36, okay, that's 73. That's 27% that does not want to vote for Donald. Because I can tell you right now that a lot of those people that vote for Jill Stein and even RFK, even though RFK is tied to a lot of those crazy conspiracy theories, but they still are basically not with Trump. So
I think this year is going to be the lowest. This election is going to be the lowest numbers in history of people actually going out to vote. I honestly believe that.
I would say that that's conventional wisdom. In other words, that's what the experts say, what you're saying, that it's going to be really tough to get people to come out. But what I'm going to say is I'm not so sure about that. I think that we could end up with a tremendous number of people voting because you don't know. I don't know. No one knows what is going to happen between now and that November voting day. Here's what Michael's saying. He says he's convinced that the more Trump talks, the more he will bury himself before the general election. And that's right. I don't know if you know this. First of all, do you know any football?
Do I look like I know football?
Hey, I don't know it, but let me say this. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I've heard that he's some kind of a football player. I've heard that he was a decent quarterback, and he's basically been sitting on the bench and can't play anymore and may not be able to play anymore. But anyway, I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I've heard this. Mm-hmm. He might be picked to be RFK's vice presidential pick. So
a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, and he's currently on the roster. So that's ridiculous. So I don't know, I know that that's the story, Michael, and that may be what RFK does because he's nuts. I mean but I do also agree with exactly what Michael said at the beginning, and that is the closer that we get to this election, the more that Donald is going to bury himself. And I don't know if you were listening yesterday, Michael, and I know that you were off on assignment yesterday, Stephanie, but I can tell you right now that once again yesterday I was talking about the Hitler factor. And it's hard to believe that there is a Hitler factor in this election, but there certainly is. And Donald told John Kelly that Hitler was a good man and that he had lots of good things to say about him. And when you add John Kelly's comments to what we know that the wife said, the ex-wife, who said that Donald used to read Hitler before he went to sleep, I have to tell you that I think that's going to become a factor. I think Donald will insist on saying that's true. I think he'll try to convince people that talking good about Hitler can be a positive for his election. I think he loves the idea that he could shoot people on Fifth Avenue. And I think if he talks about Hitler, I think he believes that his people will still follow him. And I am telling you, Steph, if anything will stop people, it's a guy that says he loves Hitler.
I'm sorry, I was reading what Michael just wrote.
No, I know. Yeah, the Trump can't read.
He's a mess.
Yeah. Well, he's a mess. We're still going to talk about him in a minute. But before we do that, I'd like to hear some of what you're thinking about this TikTok thing as it's developing, Steph. And I actually have some students who are anxious to come on the air and talk about it, but I don't know if they're going to make it today because Cardinal Ritter, that's our school, has all of these basketball players that are headed for the district championship, and we just keep winning these titles, and so everybody's going there for the big game tomorrow and or Saturday, one or the other. But at any rate, the point is they may not make it here because of that game, but they are dying to talk about TikTok. So tell me, what do you think?
Okay, wait a minute. Roll back. I'm confused. TikTok. What about TikTok?
Well, do you use it?
Nah, no, not
Okay.
really. I
Well,
mean, I have. I've seen it and everything like that. But I really don't be on there that much at
okay.
all.
Well, I haven't ever used it, but I will say that the kids, and when I say kids, I'm talking 16 to 25,
Mm-hmm.
they love TikTok.
They do.
And
They do.
how about your kids? Do they use it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, and not surprising. So how do you feel about it?
They try to block me on a lot of stuff. So.
Okay. So they don't
I
want
mean,
you to
it's
know.
all connected to me.
Okay.
It's all connected. Facebook, TikTok, all of that is X. All of that is kind of connected on how they log in. So when I see it, I'll hit on it, or see my children, I'll hit on it, and I'll scroll and see, what they doing for a second. Majority of the time, it's not bad at all, but it seems kind of boring to me. Now, some things on there are funny, but I don't really care for it that much
Do
because
you know
I
how
don't
many? Do you know how many people use it in the United States? Are you ready?
go for it.
170 million.
I don't use it. I honestly don't.
I've
I
never
barely even look
used
at
it.
it.
I've
So maybe it's the
never
younger
looked at it.
people.
It is.
Maybe it's
It is. No, I mean, maybe that even extends into the 30s. I don't know, but I know this. I asked the kids in class. I say kids, they're not,
mhm.
But at any rate, I asked, where do you get your news? They all said TikTok.
I believe that.
No, that's well known. It appears. I mean, they're saying it on all the shows. When I asked the students and they said that they get it from TikTok, I almost fell over.
Because
I mean, listen, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, NPR.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, stop it. Look, all of the places that would normally be considered, credible places that people could get information. And everybody is watching TikTok.
Mhm.
We're in trouble. That's crazy. And the information they're getting is terribly wrong, even to the point where I asked in class, how many believe that there's something called the Illuminati? Everybody raises their hand.
I was going to say everybody probably raised their hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I tried to explain to them that this whole Illuminati theory and story at the bottom of it, that the underlying basis to this is that there are a bunch of Jews who control the world and they run this organization, and that as part of running this organization, they've created a group of people, of elites, that manipulate us and that take all the money while we get change. I mean, so really at the heart of this whole thing it's anti-Semitism, and it still doesn't register with them. It just doesn't register. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I just thought about it. I have my middle daughter. That child right there, she believes every single thing that they put out on TikTok, Facebook, all of them. She believes everything. Everything. The world's
well,
gonna end tomorrow.
yeah.
The sky's purple. There's
Well,
little green men. All of
let's
it.
see if she believes what I'm about to say next. Let's see if she believes that you can get fabulous food at Wendy's. Let's see if she believes that one,
Yeah.
because it's the truth. And I'm going to start off by saying today that at Wendy's you can get smoked meats. So that's an additional thing that I didn't even know about, because I'm not exactly a smoked meat person, but I can tell you that it's very popular.
Right.
Forget what I eat. I mean, I eat hamster food. Well, at least that's what the students say. But so forget that. But if you want to talk about human beings, what normal people eat, smoked meats are way up, and also wings. The
Oh yeah.
wings. Oh, the
Love
hot
those.
wings. Oh, people love those.
I
Yeah,
like the honey hot wings.
yeah. See, again, you're a human being. Normal people eat those things. Now,
Hmm.
I do eat cheeseburgers, patty melts, pizza, uh, all of these other great things, the ribs, the baby back ribs. I mean, that's more of my kind of food. But listen, everybody likes different things, and Wendy's can take care of you whatever it is. I mean,
Yes.
they have lots of great things. So get on over to 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road, and don't forget, it's not just the food. You get to have dinner with Ben.
Hmm.
Yeah, Ben's good. You're going to have to come out and check this out also, and I'm sure you'll really enjoy meeting Ben. Great guy.
You owe me lunch, so
Oh, well, that was only 40 years ago, but that's fine. I still owe it. That's true. Okay, so Wendy's, don't forget them, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. And then next, I'm going to take you to the jewelry. The jewelry is with Al. Al and his son AJ, and they're also in the store all the time, and I mean all the time. And
yes.
they are at 4506 Hampton in St. Louis. They buy and sell coins and jewelry. They get you good prices, and they definitely sell things at reasonable prices. And also, they've just got great creativity when it comes to putting jewelry together that you'll look at and say, I'm interested. I want it. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a great place. If you love jewelry, Jewels on Hampton is definitely the place to be. And like I've said, Al and AJ, they're there and they'll help you. And, you could run around all over the country and find these jewelry stores that have places in every city. You're not going to find the owner.
Right.
But you go to Jewels on Hampton, Al is there. So finally, I've got the suit place, and that is St. Louis Suit Company. And they're on the corner of Forsyth and Central, and they're in Clayton, and they've been there for 29 years. And I love the suits. I love to
Hmm.
buy a new suit. I'm going to buy a new one. Also, the day is coming soon where I'm going to pull out some of my other suits and wear them. It's funny.
I was going to say, do you even have room in your closet for another suit?
Yeah, I get into habits. I wear certain suits. So maybe I'm in a week where I'm wearing, 3 or 4 suits that I like. and then the other ones I haven't worn in a while, and some of them are brand new suits I haven't worn. But at any rate, we'll get to that. But the St. Louis Suit Company is fabulous. They've got the suits. They'll sell you shirts. They'll sell you shoes. Although I wear my Chucks, so I stick with that. It's become fashionable, and I'm never going to let go. I mean, I assure you, if I make it 30 more years, I'll be wearing my Chucks.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be the end for my feet. But let me say that you can get everything at the St. Louis Suit Company, and you can get the best buy on ties that you've ever come across. Because I mean, $5 for the ties, $5. If you buy 5 ties, it's only $20. So then it's $4 a tie, and it's just a great deal. I mean, these ties are silk ties, beautiful colors in the ties, even though I can hardly tell which color is which. But nevertheless, my color blindness shouldn't be any impediment to you. And the other thing is this. You could go out and you could buy the same ties that I wear, and you could buy them for $50 from Trump ties. He'll sell, of course, that's out of business like everything else he does. But if you go to him, I'm sure he's got a bunch of ties in his basement, and he'll probably pull some out for you. Exactly, Stephanie. That's the point. The point is, you put on one of his ties. Be careful, because they have a built-in system that will choke you, sort of like anything that you do with him. You get in business with him, you're choked. You're killed. I love the story. And hey, let me finish here with the St. Louis Suit Company. They're great. They're at the corner of Central and Forsyth in Clayton. 29 years. You go there, you'll love them. Jay and Nick are the owners, and they're at the St. Louis Suit Company. Now,
Yay.
Yeah. So, I'm bad. I'll stay away from the bad stuff for a minute. But let me go to sort of the bad news of the day. And I say bad news, maybe not nearly as bad as everybody thinks, because there are a lot of there are a lot of theories out here that Trump is going to get away with everything, that he can do whatever he wants and he'll always get away with it. Well, not so much, because it's closing in on him. I know the last couple of days he thinks he won something.
Yeah,
jumping
they
up
took
and down.
6 of the indictments back or something like
Yeah,
that.
well, three against him, and then some against the other people. But here's what that amounts to. Those were part of the case that the judge said correctly were not written up in using the specificity that would be required in order to allow the defendants to properly develop a case.
Mhm.
So in that way, the judge wasn't wrong. He did the right thing. Now, Fani Willis can still go out and refile these things, but if she does, it will delay the case. So she might not do that. She could also appeal it, but that might not go anywhere, because there's some good argument in this that these items were not written with sufficient specificity. But the vast majority of the case is still there. And Donald still has 88 felony counts against him. So it's not like he's been saved. It's not like he's been let off the hook. It's just that there was a problem and the judge addressed it properly. Again, we want to see this man get his due process. We want him to be treated fairly. And there's no question they're doing that. In fact, they're probably going way overboard in giving him his fairness, but that's good because on the day that he has to go to jail, I don't want to hear anything. I want it to be, look, we gave him every opportunity, more than we should have. And he's still on his way to the Gray Bar Hotel. You know that place? Yeah. Anyway.
I personally don't. No, thank you.
No,
But
yeah.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
Yeah. But I will say this. I'm anxious to go there because I want to go there with the camera. Okay. And with as many of my conservative friends as I can get in a bus, and we'll all go and watch him in jail, sort of like watching the animals at the zoo. Yeah. So I'm looking forward. I've been thinking about this for a long time. So that's part of the deal here. But look, that's the case in Georgia. But there's another problem, which I hate to tell you. And everybody, I'm listening to all the lawyers today talk about it. And I say today, this only happened 2 hours ago, Steph. I mean, This is how ridiculous it is. And that is the Manhattan District Attorney who brought this case has asked for a 30-day delay.
Yes.
So that Trump can properly look through the paperwork that has now been recently delivered to him from the Department of Justice. And here's the deal. One question that's being asked is, why didn't they deliver this a long time ago?
They did it on purpose.
You know, all of this has been asked for, and they should have put it there in front of everybody, and there wouldn't even be an issue. Now, it goes a little further than that, because apparently a month ago, maybe 2 months, between a month and 2 months ago, Trump, his lawyers, asked for another group of papers by saying, look, we want to make sure that you've given us everything. And we've added a couple of things to it. And anyway, this is what showed up. Another tranche of documents to be evaluated. So apparently this was, partly Trump's idea, not personally, but his lawyers, in order to delay everything, because they're not asking for 30 days. They're asking for 90 days. And so Alvin Bragg is saying 30. Now we have to wait and hear what the final decision is of the judge. If the judge says 90, it's 90. If the judge says 30, it's 30. And Donald can do backflips. And of course, he can't do that. I mean, he can barely walk, to tell you the truth. And
wasn't it said that he had a couple of them judges in his pocket?
Well, he does, and I'm about to get to that one. I mean, that's Aileen Cannon, and we're gonna talk about her. But without a doubt, what's going on in the Manhattan case, I have to admit, I was all excited about the fact that in less than 2 weeks that this trial was going to be underway. I mean, I think this is a tremendous learning experience for people all over the country, besides putting Donald where he belongs, but it's a learning experience with regard to our system of justice. And it still is that, Steph, because people have got to understand that what Donald is using to delay the case and to get advantage, it's happening because our system was set up to protect innocent people. We don't care. We say that we don't care. We're willing to take the chance that a guilty person could go free if we make sure that we're protecting the innocent. We want to make sure that the innocent person is protected. So as a result of that, there might be some guilty people who could get away because of this effort to protect everybody's rights. But our system doesn't mind that. Although in Donald's case, he's gotten enough. It's time to get him. So I think we're going to get him. In fact, I shouldn't say that. I'm sure we're going to get him. I know that we are. I'm not just saying it. I'm positive that the people that are working this on the inside, they are not going to let this happen. For example, and I haven't heard anybody say this today, but in the case of Jack Smith, he's got the case in Florida. He's got the case in Washington that's on hold at least until April and probably until May or June because of that idiotic immunity claim that's being, reviewed by the Supreme Court, which never should have been pushed out that long. But okay, they're doing it. So that's part of the game. But here's the deal. If it's 30 more days in Manhattan, that's still the end of April, which is plenty of time to go to trial and find this guy guilty in May or June. So,
Right.
He could be dealing with a jail sentence by June, even on the delayed basis. So that's not so horrible. If that's what has to happen, we're going to find out who made the mistake here. What was it, a mistake? Because there is
I don't think
talk,
it was.
well, there's some talk that maybe they got messed up at SDNY, Southern District of New York. I don't know.
How you gonna get messed up regarding something so? There's
Right.
something in the news, and then who this is? There's no way possible.
Well,
There's
here's
no
the other.
way. I think they purposely held on to it.
Well, they wouldn't purposely do it because these are people who, if anything, that first of all, they shouldn't be on either side. But if they were on any side, you'd expect them to be on Biden's side. But they made this mistake on his side. So I'm going to guess that if anything, it was a mistake. If it was that, maybe. Okay, enough of that one. We're going to find out shortly. We're going to get a ruling on whether it's going to be 30 days or 90 days. If it's 90 days.
When are they supposed to make the ruling?
Well, there's no set time, but probably next week, maybe the end of next week or the following week. It's going to be fast. It's going to be fast. Okay, so now let's go to the one that you brought up. And that's the one in Florida. Because that is Aileen Cannon, and Judge Cannon is absolutely in Donald's pocket. I mean, there's no doubt about that. There is something that she wants that he is offering. Now, I'm sure of it because nobody would do what she's doing. I mean,
Well, we know he ain't offering up no money because he don't have none in his pocket. All he has is some lint. So
he might have $1,000 and that might buy her. I don't know.
ooh,
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a cheap.
Yeah,
That's a cheap hoe.
Yeah, that's not a good deal. That's true. Okay, but look, here's the thing, and this is what's ridiculous. He filed for a dismissal of his case today. 2 different filings suggesting one something to do with the law under which he was being prosecuted being unconstitutional, which is definitely not true, and everybody knows it. Okay, and so it's not even worth the lawyers all say it's not even worth a conversation, let alone dragging out the case over this. And then there was another one, and I can't even remember what it was at the moment, but I will tell you this. Read about it tonight because it's ridiculous. But here's the problem. Cannon decided to hear oral arguments on this.
Why?
And all of the lawyers are saying that no judge would hear oral arguments on this. They would look at it and they would say, See you later. Forget it. It's not happening. Try it on the appeal, but not here. Not canon. She is actually doing these oral arguments. She's, asking questions and having debate over essentially nothing, Stephanie. Nothing.
Ridiculous.
But, yeah, it is ridiculous.
Just ridiculous.
It is. And see, here's the thing. And I mentioned this yesterday again when you weren't here, but I've said it before. She is burying herself with the 11th district. And the 11th district is very conservative. And they have still already berated her previous decisions at least twice and maybe 3 times. And here's the point. If she pulls this too far, if she dismisses the case, I said this yesterday, a lot of people are saying it looks like she wants to dismiss the case. I'll tell you something. I think she should dismiss it, because if she does, the 11th district will dismiss her, because really Jack Smith will have the option to appeal anything she does. So she can dismiss the case. That's not the end of it. So she dismisses it. And then he goes directly to the 11th district, a conservative district. And he asks for them to reverse it, which they will. And then the next thing they're going to do is toss her out. They will. And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't think she cares, because I think she's hoping that Trump can win and that she can get whatever it is that Donald has promised her. I believe it. We'll see. But I believe it.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll see.
Look, when things become so unbelievable that it's too good to be true, usually it's not
too
true.
Good to be true.
Yeah, exactly. And this is too good to be true for him. So I'm going to say that this is beyond anything that's really there for Donald. I think they're playing games with this. And I think one more point. I think Donald, in the other civil case where he keeps, now he's out here frantically attacking E. Jean Carroll by the day, every day. It's getting worse. And they're going to sue him again. And he knows they're going to sue him again. And I think he's inviting it. And the reason I think he's inviting it is because he'll end up being found guilty.
Right.
And then they'll instead of money, or maybe they'll do both. Maybe they'll give him money and they'll issue an injunction, which is a higher level. They'll say, look, the court is now telling you, you can't say this ever again, because if you do, we're going to drag you back in here and we're going to put you in jail. And Stephanie, I believe that he wants to go to jail.
I should have been in jail.
No, but I think he sees some benefit for him. I think he wants to get behind bars. I think he believes he'll raise more money. The people out there who are eating dog food because they don't have anything to eat, but they have $1 in their pocket, they'll send that to Donald, just like they did to Tammy Faye Baker. They'll do this sort of thing. So I think they will. I think this is where he's at. But anyway, we're at the end of our line for the day. So before I say goodbye, let me say St. Louis Suit Company, Jules on Hampton, and Ben's Place. Of course, that's Wenty's. Yep. So those are our great sponsors, and more people coming. More coming. And let me say, this is Showdown. I'm Mark Kaysen.
I'm Stephanie Harmon.
Good night.
And good night.